you are not going to believe the new tricks that Frank Farr is learning.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to hear about that.
You can't?
But it's a whole new world for Frank Farr. It
I don't
is
know where
awesome.
that came
I
from.
can't wait to hear all that he's doing. But I have seen some things, so I'm excited to hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
But what about that? Well, first of all, I want to welcome you to Coffee with Ken. And we're here with Ken Brownie, CEO of Destiny Global. I'm Dr. April Brown, Executive Vice President of Coaching here, and we want to welcome you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And for those of you that are wondering where Butch is at, he earned some time off.
Butch is
sorry, Butch. You know what happens, buddy?
It's one fan will miss
Hey,
him
Tom,
today.
he's not here today. He'll be back.
He has fans.
He does have fans.
And we have fun here. Actually, with Butch, so it's me and you today.
It is you and I. We'll carry the torch, babe.
Yes, but talking about like learning new things, and sometimes that can be tricky to like learn new tricks,
especially when you get older.
Yes.
The older I've gotten, unless you stay in a constant state of learning, your learning declines at a pretty rapid rate because you're stopped reading, or you're being taught by something that you're viewing, meaning the internet or the news, which isn't actually learning. You're being talked to about something that you may not be applying or learning. Correct. It's programming.
Usually not for success.
Yes, just the opposite, right?
So
remember the rule
is complacent and be
correct
instead of learning those new things and staying active with your
a
new
new skill,
and learning new skills. You think
that
you may have learned everything, but that also can be a belief system. That we also learn that. There is this saying of old dogs can't learn new tricks.
That is not true.
So
it's just got to have the right motivation.
It is a belief system, though, right? That is part of a belief system of where we can get stuck because our mindset is all about what we take action on.
Correct.
So if we believe that we can't learn new things as we get older, but that's where being intentional with even our minds and taking those thoughts captive to obedience of what the truth is that we're created to learn
constantly and never stop. And it's fun, especially you can talk about it, but how fun is it to learn new recipes and cook in the kitchen? It is constantly, and just looking at the evolution, because like watching the Food Network and watching the evolution of food and how they prep different things and just learning the different cultures.
Literally to cook from the from the Food Network.
Yes.
Who do you watch?
I watch a lot of Bobby Flay, but it's wonderful because you watch
Bobby
people.
Flay can.
He can.
He should totally be on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he literally learned. What was the thing you made for us a couple of Christmases?
I've made beef Wellington.
From
and
watching the Food Network.
Well, it was true.
I
did.
He literally before could not even make tortilla soup. He would make it like it became tomato basil.
Because I blended it. And she goes, it went from,
like
yes, you just made that.
Blend the tomatoes. It becomes like a tomato base, and it became tomato basil.
Yes.
Well, I had to make it tomato basil because then it had no flavor.
You did. This was for a whole group of people coming over, and we were having to see. My wife is definitely triggered on this one. We definitely made.
I was grateful
soup.
Because that actually probably is what prompted you. Like you already watched the Food Network, but then you started really like taking it into like. I'm gonna learn some skills from this. I'm gonna use this opportunity to learn some skills, and you did.
Well, and on our date nights, we have gone and taken cooking classes together at Sur La Table, and it is fantastic. We had a lot of fun. Probably too much fun, but that's a whole different way. We were playing with knives and fire. Guys, don't underestimate the kitchen. You got knives and fire. It's good stuff. But when I think about Frank and I think about how he got here, it was because of his daughter and Hannah. So just so you know, and Hannah was so honorable in how she was her life began to change, and they could see that change.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, some change in a really good direction, because there was a lot going on in her life that was not going the direction that she wanted. So what's she going to do about it?
Yeah.
So you got to get some skill. And
they were so inspired
Frank
by
and
that.
his wife,
They
amazing couple.
Yeah.
And just celebrated quite a few
Frank
years
and
of
Donna.
marriage, and went to Montana, Glacier National, one of our
I
favorite
know
places.
we do love that.
Yep.
And traveling more. And so what did he do? Like, what is this new skill that he learned?
So he started getting on social media.
And that can be like, that is a skill that can be challenging as you get older. It's intimidating. It can be
Correct.
intimidating because you see all the young people that seems like their thing, right? But then to take action in that and not let it intimidate you, but
Correct.
you can learn.
When you are out of the workplace before any of that's happened, and you start adopting it, and a lot of, if even think of my parents, where they're trying to find the button, and I get calls all the time, and I know that Butch gets calls from Diane's mom about, well, what do I do on this, or even how I look, let alone trying to start using it.
Right.
And how Frank has done it, and then started telling his story and talking about his transformation in his life, and
awesome.
getting out there and telling his story, because everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And you don't know who that story is going to inspire. So
true.
Today we just give a shout out to the Farrs and just what they're doing. And he's capturing, and she's doing it too. They're capturing. Now we got pictures of their entire anniversary trip. And it was, it was a lot of numbers that were celebrated on that trip.
Yeah,
right.
That's awesome. And just because we were on that cusp of, it's just a generational thing. It's not like demeaning to, like you're saying that about your mom. It's just
That's
were
not
on
what
that
they were used to.
generational, like where
Correct.
we started using. I had a little word processor. That's my first thing.
Typewriter.
A typewriter that was a word processor. At the same time, so we were on the cusp of knowing that we have to learn these skills.
It is so funny.
Like we have to keep up with what's happening.
It is true.
In college. Like
it is
that
true.
that was the first start of all of that.
Correct.
So we've kind of been on that cusp of learning that, but people like for us that was not. They had typewriters. That's what they had. Like they did not understand technology was gonna go so rapidly.
Well, think about this. You were hired or fired in certain positions of how quickly you could type.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a thing even when I started with EDS, was how quickly, could you adapt, and you had to, it was all these different tests, and a lot of it was learning how quickly you could adapt to things that you hadn't done before. And
when you came into the training program at EDS, you had to learn to program. It was some of the first programming that there ever was.
Well, yes, I was in the second group, so they started very heavily in the 70s, and then so into the 80s when I entered the workforce, it was, there was a lot of new things, and when I started, PCs weren't even on people's desk.
Yeah.
Think about that.
It was the brick. You had the brick. Do you remember the brick?
I felt so good about my first cell phone.
Down
I don't even know where we're going. Frank, we're just reminiscing with you about, anyway, I think about that, but think about where, like my granddad, who remembers when he had no air conditioning, they didn't have cars.
Right.
And then how quickly through that generation, how much changed, and how much is changing now through artificial intelligence, and people have no clue what that's going to be doing. It's going to be massive.
If you want to stay
learn
having value in the workplace,
right,
you do have to learn skills and not let it intimidate you, that you can learn.
Exactly.
Let people like that inspire you.
Right. Well, I mean, we used to watch it as cartoons, and we wanted it to happen, and then it starts happening, people get scared. We all love the Jetsons. My boy Astro, row, 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 row. You remember Astro?
Yeah.
Astro. If you don't know it, go look at the Jetsons. You'll see it. And they had the flying cars. They could cook a meal by pressing a button. The dog had his own thing. It would walk him.
Well, look at what industries have gone extinct because they didn't adapt to new technologies. Anybody know about Blockbuster? There's one store. It's actually a nostalgia store that you can go to. just that one store to remember about Blockbuster when you had to go to the store and get a video. Now you get it live streamed.
Yes, but it's so funny.
So many different ways.
And like our daughter Chloe is so into vinyl records, and they've come back popular. But before, you know, that wasn't a thing, right? It had completely gone. And now the nostalgia of bringing things back, and people have done a pretty good job of keeping records that are not scratched and are playable, but sometimes they're not, and we still try to play them. But or 8-track tapes or cassettes, but it's really learning how things have gotten better and better. Yes.
Rewind. And Blockbuster, be kind, rewind.
Yes, remember all those things.
We're just going down memory lane right now.
But you know,
we're showing our
these skills, but these skills that Frank received and started doing was challenging because he really listened. And in the social media,
the skills
at First Steps to Success and beginning to learn from social media.
That's right. And that means that there is no age limit.
That's right.
There is no gender limit because his wife is doing it, he's doing it. So it's not like, well, you know, men can do it, but women can't.
Correct.
We have 8th grade education people that learn these skills and can succeed.
Well, and here's the thing. I want to tell those 8th grade, they're not 8th grade anymore.
Exactly.
I know that some of them take that and they look at that as like demeaning. They have you have a master's degree now, buddy. Let me tell you, just because that's where someone labeled you isn't where you're at today. You can take all those labels off and say success, educated, learner, all the skills that you've learned, because those skills are what's developing wealth in their life and relationships with their family and their children and their wife, and just plugging in and the things that they're doing.
There are people watching that can think that. They can think, well, they're college educated, or they must have to have some other thing to be able to learn these skills. And that is just not true.
It's
these
not true at all.
skills can be learned by anybody. We have 10-year-olds learning these skills that are succeeding.
The next gen, and the next that Carmen did with the next gen.
The next gen, Cassie and her kids are all putting together their bee's knees and stuff, and making product and going to fairs now. So don't underestimate anyone, whether you're young, old, your race, weight, anything. Nothing matters. It's just your attitude to make it, and that you want to change. And to get skills and be teachable. So how do you get these skills? How can you learn whatever education, whatever gender, however old you are, is at First Steps to Success. And we're having it January 31st through February 2nd. You want to get your tickets now. Get the link below. Click on it.
In Big D.
And get there. Get your room so that you can come. Information is below. We do not want you to miss it.
No, and Jackie and Carmen are so fired up. And, it is... This is just going to be a special year. 2025 is the year of Jubilee. Yeah, there's so much power coming in. You might as well get ready to roll.
That's right.
There is great things coming.
That's right. And for those of you who have been, we have another training that is the next step for those who have been to First Steps to Success. And if you've been to First Steps to Success and you have not been to Creating a Dynasty, I encourage you to get your ticket as well. There's still
information
some
below. Go get
left.
it. Let's go.
That's right. Get that, because you do not want to miss this year.
No.
It is going to be so power packed. We only have that one time a year, so you do not want to miss it.
You're right.
So information is below. Get those tickets. Do not miss that. Go to the next level. Why not go to the next level? Why you want to stay where you're at? So anyway, thank you for joining us for this episode of Coffee with Ken. Well, we should have Butch back next week. So
Butch will be here.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Like, share, so that others can come and join us. And have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.